A data type tells Java how a particular piece of data should be handled. It describes the range of values that a variable is allowed to hold. Java is a strongly typed language, which means the data type of every variable is known at compile time, so the Java interpreter doesn't need to spend time type checking at runtime. However, to provide more flexibility, Java also allows changing between data types, or casting, to occur at runtime. The primitive data types represent simple values that have built-in functionality, such as numbers and characters. There are 8 primitive data types in Java. They range in size from Boolean, which is 1 bit in length, to double and long, which are 64 bits in length. Primitive data types in Java are either Boolean or numeric. The numeric types are further divided into integral and floating point types. The Java interpreter provides an initial value for member variables of each primitive type when they have not been explicitly initialized in code. By default, a char identifier is set to the null character \0, a numeric value is set to 0, and a Boolean identifier is set to false. Match each primitive data type with its associated bit size. There are a number of rules you have to follow when declaring and using variables of primitive types. You declare a variable by preceding the name of the variable with its type. This allows Java to allocate the appropriate amount of memory for the variable. Here are some examples of variable declaration. Int amount, Boolean result. A variable declared in this way is considered to be uninitialized as no value has been assigned to it. Uninitialized class and member variables will be automatically initialized to the default value of their type at runtime. You must always provide an initial value for local variables, or your code will generate a compiler error. You can declare and initialize a variable in the same statement. For example, you can declare a short variable called amount and assign it the value 560. Suppose a user needs to type Y to confirm an action in your application. You declare a variable yes as a char and initialize it to Y. Type char space yes space =, space single quote Y single quote to complete the code and then press enter. You have declared a variable called yes of type char and set its initial value to Y. A constant is a variable that keeps its value throughout its lifetime. It is assigned an initial value which cannot be changed. You use the final modifier to indicate that a variable is a constant, and you typically use all uppercase for the constant name. You can declare a local constant using the final keyword as shown. However, you typically declare constants that are available to all the instances of a class using the static modifier in conjunction with the final modifier. An example of this is shown. Suppose you want to write a program that will keep track of your expenses at the end of each month. Identify the most appropriate variable declaration to describe your yearly income of $1 million. Which of the following are valid initialization statements? A literal is a piece of text that represents a value. For example, the numbers 0 to 9 are numeric literals. In the following declaration, the text 4000 is a numeric literal that represents the number 4000. The following are the types of literal that exist in the Java programming language: Boolean, char, integral, floating point, string. In the employee class, initialize the char variable gender with the literal m. Which of the following are valid initialization statements? There are 8 primitive data types in Java: Boolean, byte, char, short, int, long, float, and double. They range in size and value from Boolean, which is 1 bit in length, to double and long, which are 64 bits in length. There are default values for each primitive type that the Java interpreter provides if the variables aren't specifically initialized. You must always provide an initial value for local variables. You declare variables of any type by preceding the name of the variable with its type, and you can declare and initialize a variable on the same line. The Java language can have Boolean, char, integral, floating point, and string literals. An integral literal can be decimal, octal, or hexadecimal in format. The Boolean literals are true and false. String literals are defined between double quotes, and char literals are defined between single quotes.